Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to the Not a Boss Continuum, where if anything can go wrong, everything's going to go wrong, all in one fell swoop. Okay, so before we get any further into the show, my cable's going in and out, in and out. So I'm gonna stay on as long as I possibly can. And if I have to log back in on my phone, then we'll do it that way. So don't worry, I'm still going to be here with you tonight. Unfortunately, though, I do have a little bit of bad news. My guest, unfortunately, had a family emergency and is not going to be able to make it tonight. But these things do happen, right? Life happens. So you guys got me. You got me tonight. So I thought I would just come on and spend time with you guys tonight and have a fireside chat. How about those apples? You know, I just have to say, I think, Chris, I really think that the universe was trying really hard to get me to just like play our pre-record that we did yesterday because it was so good. I cannot wait for you guys. It's the bees. You're right, Chris. It is the bees because I have bees in my cable box out back. And I can't get the cable company to come and do anything about them. It probably is the bees. You're right. So you guys have me tonight. And you guys, I'm just telling you right now, though, Chris and I did such a bomb pre-record for you guys that's going to air while I'm in Ozark. You're going to love it. It is the bomb. You guys are going to love it, love it. Let me just say hi to everybody. And again, my apologies that my guest could not make it tonight. But we understand these things happen. So hey there, Gary. Gary in the house. Gary Spike Sr. and Miss Jane. Miss Jane is here. And Lenny, hi, how are you? So I've got, let's see, who else is in here tonight? We have Mr. Brian Barber. Hi, Brian. How are you? Good to see you. And we've got Kathy with us tonight. Hi, Kathy. It's good to see you, honey. Val, hi Val. Who else? Of course, Mr. Chris Hensley. And anybody else? I thought I saw somebody. Brown Dwarf. Hi. How are you, my friend? Alan. How are you, Alan? Hope you're doing well. And Mr. Roger Blair is in the house as well. Man, doing pretty good. Jim's camera at dawn. I would love to know how you got that screen name. Like, Jim, you got to explain yourself. I want to hear. I want to hear that story. Oh, Krista. Hey, Krista. How are you? Let's see. Who else is in here tonight? The chat's flying. I can't even keep up. Yes, Brian. Woohoo. Question and answer period. That's right. And I hope you guys brought all the stuff to make s'mores. And do you guys like my new addition? Do you like it? I like it. I've had it for like 2 years and I had it somewhere else in my house. And I decided, why am I doing that? Why do I have it there when nobody can see it? I'm like, I got to bring it upstairs and stick it in my background. Hey there, Naoma. How are you? And we've got Howling Underdog Films. How are you? And did I miss anybody? I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm still kind of behind a little bit. I'm chatting away. So I am here. It is question and answer period. Just like Brian said, we'll talk whatever you guys want to talk about. What do you guys want to know about? I don't have any one particular thing that we can talk about. We can talk about anything you guys want. You guys want to talk about UFOs tonight. You guys want to talk ghosts? You guys want to talk about Sasquatch? Just whatever y'all want to talk about tonight. We'll get into it. Tell you a story. Naoma says, all right, one second. Jim says, mostly I'm out on the trails taking pictures at dawn. Best light for waterfall photos. Oh, wow. Do you have a channel, Jim, that you like post your photos or you put them on? Hey there. I don't know. I can never tell if this is Dale or if this is Michael John. So you have to tell me which one you are, because you both kind of come in through the chat under the paranormal voice. So which one? It's Dale. Hi, Dale. Well, look who it also is. My friend. How are you, Lee? Leah had such a good time hanging out over there with the people over at Hoffcast the other night. That was a really good show. That was so much fun. Brian says, I'd name that Bigfoot statue Santa Santa. Brian, I'm going to send you a box of Sweet and Low, and you know why. We could talk about Brian's Sweet and Low, but we won't. We will not go there. Okay, Brian, I promise. We won't go there and talk about your box of Sweet and Low. Or I don't know, maybe we should. Brian, do you want to talk about your box of Sweet and Low? Because we could talk about that. Naoma wants me to tell a story. I am a really crappy storyteller. I'm really not that good at it. If you know, like Brian says, too late. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Brian. I missed this comment. I had my doctor order me a colon screening test. Should I put the Bigfoot poo in the test and send it in? I just worry what it might come back as. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Brian. Like, what could happen? I mean, again, I keep telling you, Brian, though, like how you're keeping it. I don't know when that thing starts to unthaw. Who knows what's in there? I don't know. I don't know what could happen, Brian. I don't know. Yeah. Brian, you want to come on right now? I can send you a link. I can give you a link, Brian. Yes, Chris says, give him a link. Give Brian a link. You know what, Dale? I am coming to the Maya Paracon next year. Okay, I promise you. Because if I go to the Maya Paracon, at least I'll be able to kind of like meet some peeps up that way. Because I know that there's Gene, like there's a lot of people up that way, up there in Michigan and Canada and all that. So yeah, I would love to do that next year. So I'm gonna plan on that one. I'm planning on that one. What if it has a parasite or Jif peanut? Yeah, because Brian for a long time was actually Brian. Come on, you want to come on? All right, okay. All right, 10 minutes. Okay, Brian, 10 minutes, and then you can tell the story. Yes, it's perfectly okay. We will give you 10 minutes. You know what? One second here. I think if I send the link, hang on. Let me see. Hold on. Let me just send Brian the link real quick here. And then that way, whenever he's ready, he can just pop on in. There we go. All right, Brian has the link. Yeah. All right, Brian, I sent you on Facebook Messenger the link to the show so we can get the full story. Oh, yeah, this is going to be fun. Yeah, Brown Dwarf says, okay, 10 minutes, Brian. Trust me, guys, don't leave. Whatever you do, don't leave because I promise you, it's worth it. It is worth hearing. It is worth hearing. Oh, that's right. Gary did. Gary got the magazine. And yeah, I told you, Matt's story is great. He's such a talented writer. He is such a talented writer. Unlike myself. I've been working on a book for over a year and I still haven't got that sucker finished. And I don't even know when it's going to get finished, but Matt is talented. He is a very talented writer. He is. Um, And oh, hey, Sue. Aussie Sue in the house. Good to see you. Um, oh, behind the Bigfoot, it's just like it just says like apothecary. It's like an apothecary, old style apothecary looking kind of sign. Nothing really, you know, nothing spectacular. I do have another picture that I want to put up. I don't know when I'm going to get it up, but I have another picture. I have like the Bigfoot version of the Starry Night. I have that. I've got that to put up, but I just, haven't had time. It's been busy. I've been super busy. So much going on. So much going on. Well, hello, Mr. Donald Fuller. How are you doing? We'll give Brian about 10 minutes. And we have Freaky Geek in the house as well. Hi, how are you? Yeah, it's been busy. I have been, I've been doing like 3 shows a week. And then I've also been guesting, going on as a guest on a lot of other podcasts. So I've been doing 4 or 5 a week. Like, I have a show tonight, I have a show tomorrow night, and then I've got Thursday night. I will be Thursday night. I'm gonna be back on with Barb and Grizzly over there on Thursday night at 5. It's at 5:30 though. It's an early show, and then I've got the weekend. I did take the weekend off. I do have Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, but I will have a show on Tuesday. Donald, my guest, had a family emergency, so he couldn't make it, but I do have somebody that's going to be popping on, Mr. Brian Barber, and you guys will enjoy his encounter and his story and how he collected some Sasquatch scat. Yeah. So, and so that will be fun. And let's hope that my cable stays. It's pretty ironic because I just got all hardwired, so I would not have any issues with the cable. And here I am still having an issue. It's just par for the course. It's just how life works, guys. It's just how it works, right? So, any other questions while we're waiting for Brian to show up? I would love to tell a story, Naoma. I just don't really have any stories to tell. Honestly, it's bad. I am a Oh, Donald, of course. Absolutely. Everybody, please pray for Donald's father. Yeah. Sending prayers your way, Donald. Sending prayers, your way for your father there. Did I freeze? There we go. I don't know what happened. Couldn't even get that. I couldn't get the comment to come down. That was super. Who knows what you know what? That's a good question. We're gonna ask him when he comes on. We'll bug him about what he had for dinner. Now I did. I had such a good time the other night. Of course, Donald, anytime. I had a really good time on Hoffcast is the name of the channel. So if you guys go over there and subscribe over there to his channel, he's really funny. And he really asked me really good questions. to a lot of them, I honestly had to be honest and go, I really don't know the answer to that, because that's a good question, though. I mean, like, I'm not gonna make stuff up to make people happy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna make it up. It's like people think it's hilarious. Yeah, Hoff is a hoot. You're right. You're right, Lee. He really is. But I'm not gonna make stuff up. I'm just not. I'm not gonna embellish. I'm not gonna make things up. I'm just gonna tell situations I've been in and things that have happened to me, experiences and things I've come across. So I'm just not the one to sit there and make things up for clicks and views or any of that stuff. So, you know, and it was a good time. So if you guys want to go and check that out, oh, okay. All right, Jim. Yeah, Hofcast. He really does have a cool show. He really does. He really does. And he's really awesome. And the people that are in his chat, I gotta tell you, lovely. Just like everybody that's in my chat, like, lovely people, really good hearted people, and they were amazing, and they were very, very, like, kind and encouraging and supportive to me too while I was on the show. So mad props to over there. But while we're waiting for Brian, how about this? I will throw some links up into the chat, since we do have some new people that are here tonight. All right. So, first chat that I'm going to put up is the first chat. What did I say first? The first link. Sorry. The first link I'm going to put into the chat is the Paranormal Voice. Go over to their channel. Definitely go subscribe to them. They are amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Definitely go over there. Hi, Mr. J. Fritz. How are you? Hey, Danny, when did you sneak in? Oh, I love you too. I know. I get made fun of. I get made fun of in a lot of other channels because I tend to throw around the positivity and the love and the kindness, and I get made fun of on a lot of other shows. But you know what? I really don't care, because I still want to spread love and kindness. If you're going to hate on someone because all they want to do is spread positivity, love, and kindness, I'm thinking there might be a problem, but not with me. So go check yourself. So that was just a little bit of truth. Okay. I still love people. I still am going to be kind to people. But, if people have a problem with that, I think it's their problem. It sounds like a you problem, not a non-boss problem. So anyway, another channel that if you guys haven't already subscribed to, and thank you, Dale. Thank you. Thank you. I know it makes no sense, but it's true. I do. I get made fun of on a few other channels that I'm not going to talk about their names, because guess what? They won't get a like or a view from anybody I know, because I'm not going to say nothing. Everybody go also check out. I'm putting the link in. Oh, hold on 1 second. I did. Yeah, actually, Chris, I sent it to him. I did. I sent it to him because he actually he is a friend. He sent me a friend request. So we're friends. So I did send it to him through Messenger. Hopefully he sees it. So go check out what's really out there. That is Robbie Rains. You guys know Robbie. He's also on DAX Machina's channel as a co-host. He has his own channel, What's Really Out There. They do amazing stuff over there as well. And thank you, Gary. I was going to put that link in the chat for the military, for the Project 22 a Day. Or, I'm sorry, the 22 a Day movement is a DA and I did a little fundraiser for them last week. It's an amazing charity. It is. It is. Oh, here's Brian. Hey, Brian, give me 1 second. Let me just finish this thought. It is an amazing charity for veterans. And every single penny goes towards the veterans
No
and their,
problem.
for them, because they don't just give a percentage. So so definitely go and make make a donation to the 22 a Day movement. Go and check that out. Hey there, Pancho. Hi, Amber. Amber just popped in too. Let's see. Wait. And let's see. There is, and then let me just really quick throw in DA's channel as well. If anybody hasn't already gone and subscribed to DA's channel, please go and subscribe to his channel. And was that it? Let me make sure. Hold on. I gotta make sure. Did I forget? No, I did forget somebody. Hold on. I just gotta find my. Really? Here it is. And then for a really good time, if you guys want to have a really good time, go over and check out Grizzlies on the Hunt. That's the link to his channel. So many amazing people over there. Brian, that's how I met Brian. That's how I met Mr. Brian. And go over and check them out and subscribe over there as well. Brian, thank you.
My pleasure. Kind of spur of the moment.
I know, but you know what? I mean, you see how things, I told you one day you'd come on my show, and here you are.
Yeah, you kept your end of the bargain, that was for sure. I just didn't think you'd be so soon.
I know.
I feel underdressed at the moment.
That is how things work out, though. That is how things work out. So, okay, before we get into the box of Sweet and Low, before we get to that,
Okay.
before we get to that, can you just tell everybody kind of a little bit like how long you've kind of been into the subject and how you first came about to kind of be all in this community? Like, give us a little bit of that.
The original interest was back in Lake Ann, Michigan. My grandma lived there in the late 60s, early 70s. And there was a part of the woods where they had a big family, 7 kids. But there's part of the woods you just didn't go in. There were no birds. The dog wouldn't go back there half the time. And everybody said it was Bigfoot. Well, in early 70s, I'm only 4 or 5. I don't even know what Bigfoot is. And I'm watching the show when Leonard Nimoy in search of, and they had the Patty film. And I pointed and I said, "Hey, is that what's out there?" And he's like, "Yep, that's Bigfoot." So when it became real was later that year. My grandma was in her house. And to make a long story short, the dog shot under their bed. It was rain and thunder. My grandpa worked as a dispatcher. And when the dog went under the bed, my grandma looked out the window and lightning flashed, and a huge silhouette was in the window, and it filled the whole window. So she called my grandpa at the sheriff's department. He came out, and they found a 17-inch track outside the window, and it went off into the forest. They cast the track. My uncle still has it. Lives in Japan right now, but he's got the original cast. And so when I was 16, I used to take late night drives to clear my head. And just a couple miles up the road from there, I came around a corner and I thought it was a really big bag of garbage. And I'm cursing at somebody throwing garbage on the road. Well, as I got closer, I could see the bag shift a little bit. So I thought, oh, it's a bear. I'm going to get to see a big bear. And I actually had to stop my car, and I'm within just a few feet, and this big bear stood up and squared off to my car. And its shoulders were as wide as my El Camino.
Oh my gosh.
And the headlights cut off about chest high. So all I could see was 2 yellow eyes up just out of the headlights. It looked like baseballs a few inches apart.
Oh, wow.
And to keep it clean, you could tell it was a male because it was kind of dangling over my hood.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to hit my horn, and something just told me in my head, if I hit that horn, it's either going to get scared or mad, and it's going to pull you out of this car. So there was you could just tell there was eye contact. And it was probably a few seconds, but it felt like forever. And it literally just turned and stepped over the guardrail and was gone. So that was 1987. And then that wasn't cool to talk about it back then. So I just
Right.
kept my mouth shut. And, after Finding Bigfoot came out and all the other shows, it got a little more popular. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to dig into this a little deeper. And that was, well, it'll be coming up on 3 years now. So I started, cruising the Bigfoot forums, and I found Michigan Bigfoot Report. Met a couple friends there. One named Lance. He's kind of been my mentor through this whole thing. And he said, "Do you really want to find what you saw?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to find it." And so he gives me a place to go. And didn't want to go alone because it was in the woods. So I took a friend with me. She thought I was totally nuts. I'm thinking I'm going to get skunked because people look their whole lives for these things. And literally, we walked down in this area, and I'm clapping as I go because I'm shy. I don't like to yell. I don't like attention. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
somebody messing with me doing a callback. And so I would clap. I'd do that. And then finally, when we get to the bottom of the hill, I look up the hill, and I thought that would be a good spot to sit and just watch everything going on around here because it overlooked Lake Michigan, and it was on top of the hill, so you could look into the valley of the bluffs where I was at. I took one step, and all of a sudden, two catchers may hit louder than I could do
Wow.
and stopped me. And I looked at my friend, and she's got tears in her eyes at this point. I go, it takes hands to clap, right? And she's like, yeah, I want to go home. And
I don't
so
blame
I'm like, well, I'm with you, so let's go. And as we started walking out, they started, I want to call it almost celebrating because you started hearing a little more whoops. And then you hear some tree knocks as we get farther and farther up the trail, it become more frequent.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point, I turn around and see something huge jump behind the tree.
Oh, wow.
And so I snap a quick picture, blow it up, and you can see half of it peeking. Now, my friends are already scared. I'm not going to scare her. So I says, you get in front of me and go, come on, we need to hurry this up. Let's go. And as we get up, there was a gate that I parked by. And all of a sudden you hear the gate rattle. And I'm like, oh crap, they're in front of us too. We are screwed. you know, Luckily everything worked out. We trudged our way through the snow, got in and left. And that was in 2019 when COVID, just before all that, let's see
Mm-hmm.
what's hit. Sorry. And so it took me about 6 months before I went back. But then I started going back and started getting a little tidbits here and there. I would put, peanut butter's the big thing everybody seems to know about. I would get the jars back with the lids on them, but lit completely clean. I would get them back with the tin foil folded up. It would be peeled perfectly. I sent Chris and Grizz a couple pictures where the tin foil was peeled perfectly off it, and it folded up and stuck in the jar, and then the jar would be 8 feet in the tree.
That's so crazy.
So it's been almost going on 3 years out there now. And I'm sure you heard the DNR got a hold of me.
Mm.
They tracked me down, wanting to know. That was the one big regret because I started, I guess, the habituation process with the peanut butter. I mean, I was putting a lot out. you know, between, I think I averaged it out somewhere between 6 and 12 jars a week. 4 pound.
So at this point, they're like addicted to peanut butter at this
Yeah,
point.
and it's a game for me to find the jars. My whole point was to find every jar I put out. And for the first year and a half, I found probably 90% of them.
And then others
Some of
were
them
just
were raccoons, some of them were other wildlife. You could tell. I took a bunch of pictures where one got licked clean in one night, and then other one where the trash panda or something got in. You could see all the little claw marks, and then they
mm-hmm.
dumped it all out. So, and I even got a picture of what must be radiated squirrel out there eating the peanut butter because he was as big as a peanut butter jar, and he's sitting on top and he'd already burrowed his way in and just chowing. So it's
Oh
like
my.
I know other wildlife gets, so I'm not blaming everything on
Yeah. So did you leave the lids on the jars for them, or so they had to
at first.
remove the jars and
Yeah,
peel back the
originally I started peeling tinfoil off myself,
right?
and I thought, okay, let's see how smart they really are. So I just left the tinfoil on it completely. I just put a date on the jar and put it out, and then go out there, and then sometimes it would be almost like a trail. You would find the lid,
Mm-hmm.
pieces of tinfoil, and then the jar maybe 30 or 40 yards away. So it was like they had their own little popcorn bag walking away with the peanut butter jar. But there were other times when the lid was peeled, the tinfoil was peeled off. Sorry, nervous.
That's okay. Take your
Stuck
time.
in the jar and the lid screwed on. So, and what happened was how the DNR got involved because I had talked to, there are two sides to the property that is out there. One side is conservancy, one side is private. Where I
Okay.
originally started, I thought part of that was state land, so I was putting peanut butter there. Well, I found out through one of the neighbors, I was putting peanut butter out, and they're like, "Well, what are you doing here?" And I told them. And the funniest thing was, they tried to kind of see what I was really doing, because they're like, "Well, you trying to trap porcupine?" I said, "Well, if you know what I'm doing out here, you know what? You've never seen a trap, what?" So, and I was just honest at that point, because they live out there. I knew they had experiences and everything. So I go through
Mm-hmm.
my phone and I'm showing them. And I, had one of the face sticking through the grass, and I said, "Here he goes. He's about a 9 footer." And you go, "Yep." So that's them. And that was all they would say was, "That's them."
Okay.
And they said, "Okay, with what you're doing, just keep it on the other side of the road, keep it off our property, and we're good." So, I did that. And then what happened was, I got sick and I was laid up for about 3 weeks. So during that time, apparently what happened was, after about a week of me not coming out, the neighbors that I talked to were getting, their motion lights were going off between 1 and 3 in the morning. So they wanted the
Oh,
footage, and here come peanut butter jars bouncing through their yard.
empty ones.
Yeah, empty peanut butter jars just bouncing through their yard. Nothing on the camera other than there goes another peanut butter jar.
Wow.
And then 2 weeks after I was gone, uh, and this is the one I feel the worst about, is the fact that they were peeking into the people's windows.
Oh, wow.
And one was a 5-year-old little girl who, that one I feel bad about, because the whole time I really had a bad thing thinking I was in control. Oh, they won't cross the line. They won't cross the line. And if they do, they'll deal with me. But that wasn't the case. So when
Yeah.
they started peeking in the windows, the DNR was called. So then the DNR talked to me, and
How
when I
far?
asked, exactly what happened, they said,
Mm.
"Well, what? It's the wildlife. The bears are getting out. The bears are getting in people's yards." And I said, "Bears?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so I asked her, I said, "Is this conversation being recorded?"
Good
And she's like,
question.
"No." I said, "Okay, well, I've been out here for 2 years at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never seen a bear track, never seen bear scratch, bear scat, and bears don't leave 23-inch footprints, throw rocks at me, and almost put my window out with a log." And she went, "Excuse me?" I said, "Let's just say I know it's not bears." And and this is where she goes, this was the kicker. She says, "Well, we've got all these empty peanut butter jars that we, in case you were kind of a jerk and, we had to push this, do you want these peanut butter jars back?" I'm like, "Well, what kind of condition are they in?" And she says, "Well, some of them are just, absolutely clean. Some of them are chewed up, but they're yours. So you want them to come get them." And I says, I got a dozen of these things. I don't need any more in my room. So I said, "No." And she goes, "But I got a question to ask you." She says, "Why did you put one date on the lid and another date on the bottom of the jar?" Like, I didn't. Same date, same. bottom and top. And she says, well, it's weird because there's a date on the top and there's a date on the bottom, and they're different.
So, okay,
So
so that means that the Sasquatch were switching the jars and the lids
yeah,
with different
stockpiling.
dates, right?
Yeah. Every once in a while, like I found another jar yesterday that was from 2 years ago.
Wow.
So it's I found that rather
So how many okay, so
interesting.
how many jars and lids do you actually now have? How many do you
Do I
have
have
now?
right now?
Yeah.
Every house, I only kept like 4 or 5. I ditched the rest. I've
And the
got
ones
one down here.
okay,
Maybe I'll
so
clean to come back.
did you have you washed that? No,
Nope,
right? No. It came back that clean.
that's how they come back. That's when I have a good idea. Something with probably a big tongue. Got it. I got
Wow.
I got one on here with 2 oily fingerprints that I saved, and that was the one I had called Dr. Ketchum on, Melba Ketchum,
Mhm.
because you could see the big oily fingerprints around. They go about halfway around the jar, and there's a couple of hairs in it. So I got in touch with her through Facebook, and she
Okay.
gave me the name of a guy in California that apparently had gotten into the whole primatology fingerprint thing to disprove Bigfoot, but wound up
Okay.
proving. But I made 2 calls and he never called me back. So she said she didn't know if he was still doing it because he was pretty up there in age.
Okay. So you have hair
Yep. Two
and
in the
how do
jar.
you what?
They're in the jar. Yep.
Okay. Wow. I'm just give me a sec because I'm processing this. All right. So how many times a week were you were going out once a week?
No, I was during the summer, I go 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay, 2 to 3 times a week, and every single time you went, you took how many peanut butter jars out there?
I would have to replace between 3 and 6.
Okay. 2 to 3 times a week.
Yep.
Okay. And ever and how long were you putting the dates on the lids and the jars?
A little
So
over
you
2 years.
were okay, so you were buying the peanut butter. I want to break it all down. You were
Yep.
buying the jars of peanut butter. You were unscrewing the lids, putting the date where? On top or underneath the lid?
On top.
On top. And
Yep.
then where were you putting the date on the jar?
I'd write it on the bottom of the jar
On the bottom of the
with a
jar.
Sharpie
Okay.
marker.
And then you left the label on there, the label
Yep.
on the jar, on the jar. Okay. So you would go out 2 to 3 times a week and put anywhere from 3 to 6 of that size of peanut butter.
Yep.
Wow. And okay, so you'd go out and let's say 3, you dropped off 3, and then you'd go out a couple of days later. And then when you got there, what would happen? You would find jars or you wouldn't find them. It just depended. And then you would drop the other ones off, the new ones off.
Yep. It would all depend on what I found that day. I
Okay.
missed I had a lot more happen on the private side because I
Mm-hmm.
think there's just because it was less people. I mean, I would take and if you wanted, I got pictures I could send you. It's hilarious because I would take a bunch of colored popsicle sticks and just put them in a group, put them under the peanut butter jar, and then I bungee cord the peanut butter jar to the limb to make sure nothing just pushes it off, the wind doesn't blow it or whatever.
Right.
And I would come and find it, the bungee cord would still be done, the peanut butter would be gone, but the popsicle sticks would be laid on the ground in by color, be sorted out.
Really?
Yeah, it was hilarious. I'd love to see
So,
what they were going to do with them. I find them
okay.
with little X's or kind of glyph like, and always sorted by color.
And they were always sorted by color. Interesting.
Yep. I'd even try to screw them up by putting 3 green and 1 yellow instead of 2 and 2. And
Uh-huh.
you get 3 green over here and a yellow on the other side of the tree.
Okay, so you were not only just leaving them the peanut butter, so you were kind of setting up little experiments, and on some level, you're trying to get some communication maybe going with them, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a glow in the dark ball, and there was an old rusty barrel, 55-gallon burn barrel out there, and I would put peanut butter inside the barrel, and then put a
Mhm.
bunch of rocks on top of that peanut butter so something didn't run off with it. And then I would put other things with it. And there was one glow in the dark ball that I put there. And that took about 2 weeks to disappear. But then I'd have to look at the dates. 4 or 5 months later, the ball's put back in the barrel. I'm like, oh, what the heck? I mean, it was cool. I found it again. But I'm like, I wonder why they gave it back. And then it took me about 2 days. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. And I turned out the lights and the ball didn't glow anymore.
That's why they brought it back,
So
I
I
guess.
think they brought it back because then I turned around and put a bunch of those,
Huh.
around Halloween time, you get to glow in the dark worms and
Uh-huh.
stuff. I put those in a container and stuck it there, and that disappeared the next time I went out. And I think I was down to once a week then,
Wow.
and I haven't seen it yet.
Donald Fuller wants to know, have they ever gifted you? Have they
They've
ever
returned
given you?
they've returned things I've lost. Like I had a special flashlight that I used. It was when it was, when you pre-order a video game, like it was a Tomb Raider flashlight.
Mhm.
And I lost it one trip and I couldn't tell you where it went. It was in the forest someplace. And about a month later, where I park, uh, the first peanut butter spot's like 10 feet away from where I park. And in that spot was my flashlight. I left a tape measure down by where I think they might use for cover for maybe, it
Mhm.
looks like a hut made out of wood. And I left the tape measure down there, came back and the tape measure was gone. And about 3 weeks later, the tape measure showed back up in that spot.
So how far away is this area from where you actually live?
It's 36 miles.
And that's not very far for a 9 foot being to traverse. Are you seeing them are they coming to your home? Do you think they are?
No, I don't think I've had any issues there.
Okay.
Um,
So what happened? I mean, are you still going out? Are you
oh
still?
yeah, I sent Barb some pictures last night, and
Mhm.
yesterday I went out and um, you know, people had mentioned about being sensitive, so I'm looking more into this.
Which I think you are for sure.
And you were the first one to say that, and then Barb agreed. And then I talked to a couple of my friends that I've known, and they're like, "We knew it your whole life. Why didn't you?" I'm like,
We're
"Thanks for
always the
telling
last
me."
people to know.
Exactly. It's like,
It's true.
that's the friend you are.
Yeah,
But
right? Like,
but
yeah,
I went
no,
out and I was very calm. As soon as I got out of the car, there were no birds, no squirrels, no chipmunks. I thought, okay, they're hanging around. Let's see what happens.
mhm.
So I took my normal walk and found a couple new tree structures and took some pictures. I'd hear an occasional whoop or some footsteps. And then at one spot, a crow started sounding off. I thought, well, that's kind of odd. Normally I don't hear crows out here. And then as soon as it started sounding off, you could hear footsteps walking away.
Mhm.
And Barb mentioned, when I told her that, Barb mentioned that something about crows are kind of their warning system. So
I
I
have
thought,
heard
well,
that. I have heard that before.
maybe that's what it was. They
Mhm.
don't know I'm hanging around. And then on my way back, um, about halfway up the hill where I don't want to, I saw a really cool rock stack. It was, 4 high, and there was a flat rock in between, and that rock had been snapped in half with the other rock laying next to it.
Hmm.
So I go up to take a picture, and I start to walk, and all of a sudden a rock comes bouncing by my feet. I thought, okay, I must not want him in that direction. So, I turned around and said, sorry, I'm leaving. And then I did my clap twice when I leave, and I got a knock back. So I thought, okay, we're still on good terms. And I sent the pictures to Barb, and Barb goes, well, I can see why, because if you zoom in, you can see a mom holding a baby. And it's not me finding it in the pictures. That's what I think is cool. So it's not my pareidolia. It's somebody else
Mhm.
looking at it and finding this stuff for me.
Yeah.
So, and then she's like, your picture is loaded with them.
Well, did you, I mean, so when you go out, I mean, do you, I mean, is it something that you're feeling like, we always talk about, like when we're in grade school, right? And you can always tell when somebody's staring at you because you could just like feel the heat of their stare on the back of your neck, that feeling. So
Yep.
are you getting that feeling when you're going out? Are you that they're
Yeah.
watching you?
At times, it just depends on
Mhm.
I think if they're hanging around that day, because there'll be times when I go and I know I'm being watched, but everything's fine. But like when
Mhm.
I went to walk up that hill, all of a sudden my heart just started pounding out of my chest, and I kind of got anxiety, and it was like, what
Mhm.
the heck?
See,
And then
that's
I
what
kept
happens. That's what happens to me when they show up, right? If I'm in an area and they show up, that's exactly what happens to me. My heart starts pounding, my chest gets super tight. I almost feel like I can't breathe. I feel like something is sitting on top of my chest. And then I have to literally, like, I have to almost think it through and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. This isn't actually my anxiety. I'm feeling their anxiety. So for me, it's like that's how I know they're there. Like it's almost like like they're like, oh, humans, like, or, and they're like, they get anxious. And then I'm picking with my gifts, I'm picking up on them being anxious. And that's how I know they're there. It's the tell. I call it the tell. That's what happened. That's how I can tell they're there
yeah,
every single time.
there's definitely times when it's like most of the walk was just fine. It's like I knew they were there.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'd be around, I keep looking over my shoulder. It's like you kind of get a general direction where
Hmm.
but yeah, as soon as
Well,
I took that,
most people don't get general directions.
no,
No.
no, and it's like I keep looking over my shoulder, or I'll think, okay, they're over here. So that's when I actually got a couple of them taken instead of turning my phone, do it
Mhm.
selfie style. And that was the most unnerving picture I think when I first started. Was I
Yeah.
took in selfie style, and in the background you can see it a side view, and it's got head and shoulders turned looking right at me. It's like
Wow.
something that big can get
It
so
is
close.
unnerving. It is unnerving. But I always think in these terms, like you've been going out there for what, 3 years?
Yeah, coming up on 3 years.
Coming up on 3 years, and they've never injured you.
Yeah.
They've never hurt you. So they're
Well,
not out, you know what I'm saying? Like if
yeah.
they were gonna hurt you, they would have. You know what I'm saying? I think that they recognize you. Now let me just ask you this. I always I always try to think about like certain questions. So when you're going out, is there consistency? Like you said like when you leave, like you clap twice and then that they know you're leaving. Like are you wearing the same clothes every time you go? Are you parking in the exact same spot? Like what kind of consistency, what kind of things are you doing to keep up that consistency just so,
Uh,
they know
the
it's
clap,
you?
the clap is a big one. I don't
Mhm.
wear the same clothes, but I do carry a backpack. I
Same
keep the
backpack
same
every
backpack
time?
all the time.
Okay. Like a
Uh,
ball cap or anything like that?
nope,
Nope.
just that green camo backpack.
Okay. Okay.
And
Um,
and like I said, the clap once in a while, some knocks. And you're right. What really the night that made me question, there were two nights that I knew that if they wanted to get me, they could have. It could have been really easy. And I
yeah.
talked about the one in the snow where I got
Mhm.
escorted out, and I showed pictures of the snow tracks. But then there was one where I was taking thermal, and this is the one that cemented it because this would have I was easy pickings. I'm sitting there and I see these little yellow eyes, and I can see a heat signature on the thermal, but it's real tiny. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And it's walking and it's doing this back and forth. I'm like, oh, come on, what the heck is this? And the shape's getting a little bigger on the thermal. It finally gets close enough. I had a little handheld flashlight and I turned it on, and it's a raccoon. And it's a big raccoon. I mean, he's 20 pounds. And
Well,
he's
you
looking
better
at
feed him
me.
the peanut butter.
I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going to get bit by a rabid raccoon and everybody's going to blame it on Bigfoot. But so I'm sitting there watching this raccoon. He's getting closer and closer. And I'm like, oh crap. And then all of a sudden the raccoon freezes and he's sitting there. And I'm just looking on the thermal at this point, and you see a huge red heat signature arm come out, snatch this raccoon, pull it behind the tree. You hear the raccoon screaming for its life, and then you hear thud. And that's the end of the raccoon. And then I turned my flashlight on, and maybe it only been a couple seconds, and it was already 20 or 30 yards away, and I can see the yellow eyes blink, and it's gone. Another a few seconds, blink, and then it was gone for good. You go
Wow.
back the next day, and I got pictures. You can see 17-inch tracks coming up to the tree where he snagged that raccoon.
So but he didn't take the raccoon.
Yeah.
Oh, he did take it.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
So
think that was dinner that night. He grabbed the raccoon
wow.
and smacked it on the tree. There was raccoon hair about 8 feet up.
Did you get pictures of this?
I didn't. I got pictures of the tracks. I didn't even think about the hair.
That's so crazy.
So,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and that's cemented right there. If it was looking for a bigger snack, he could have. I never heard it follow that raccoon, and apparently the raccoon didn't either.
Yeah.
And so.
All right. So we just got a few questions, and Gary commented they like to borrow things and bring them back. That is so true. That's what we have. We've heard that a lot. Roger Blair wanted to know, has he ever checked anything they returned for prints?
No, everything's that they've returned has been really small. I never even think about it. I'm so amazed I get something that I grab it and stick it in my pocket without thinking.
And then Jen wants to know, do they knock when you arrive? Like if there's two people, if it's like, are you hearing two people, like two knocks saying two people, or one knock saying one person?
Maybe half the time I go, they'll knock back on the first try.
Mm-hmm.
No, it'll be one. It could be two.
Okay. So there's no pattern to them knocking when you show up, like when you get out of your car.
Yep. If I hear one or two, I just know that they're there and they're willing to hang out for a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
So and the other thing they returned. Oh.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead. What was the other thing they returned?
A friend of mine had passed away, and this was just back on. She passed on May 10th, so May 11th I went out, and I needed to get away from everything. All the emotion was just too high, and it was like my favorite place is to sit out there in those woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to sound like a 270-pound baby, but I had some sad music playing, and I'm crying my eyes out, and then all of a sudden you can hear this long, ooh, like a mournful howl. And this happened 3 times. So it was almost like they felt what I was feeling, maybe.
Yeah.
But I had sat down in the middle of a big leaf pile, and I have a clicker that I'll use too, like a dog clicker. And I got back to my car and realized, oh, I lost it. I'm never going to find it in that leaf pile. And when I came back, it was May 11th, so it would have been May 14th or 15th. I went back out, and on the metal gate, that clicker is tied in a knot, hanging there.
Wow. So they knew you were there. They knew, yeah, something. Wow. Shows a lot of intelligence, right?
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
So let's get to the sweet and low box.
This one?
That one? You want
That's the one.
You want to? Yeah.
I got to get back in the freezer before it starts thawing too.
I know, right? You can't be on the show too long. Sasquatch.
Yeah. So I found that. I was just out at that time. We were still putting peanut butter out, and instead of smelling wet dog, it was like, what the heck is that? when they know you.
Yeah,
I think they
they
do.
know. Yeah, I think so.
You know,
And Val said sorry for your loss, Brian.
oh, thank you. She was a sweetheart. She was a 75-year-old who still ran full marathons. And I work at
Wow.
a gym, and she brought me lunch every Friday for 4 years. But I was actually looking for one of the peanut butter jars I had put out,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden I walked around and I'm like, "What the heck kind of log is that?" Trying to figure out what kind of wood was laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And then I realized it kind of tapered to an end. I'm like, "Oh wait, that's not a log. That's a log of a different kind." And scroll. So I'm like, "Okay, what would you know?" Lance had already told me to have a plastic bag and stuff to gather evidence, and I took pictures of it, and I thought, if I don't get a sample of this, I'm gonna get in big trouble. So I'm sitting there taking all I had was a stick, so I'm trying to knock pieces off it, and finally get it probably weighs maybe 2 pounds, maybe three, and that's just a little portion of it. That was off the peanut butter.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. When the picture of it next to my shoe, I mean, it's as tall as my shoe and looks almost as wide. And I wear a size 15 wide.
I
So
cannot imagine.
I'm laughing to myself looking at this because I'm thinking, well, it's no wonder they howl. I would howl too.
Brian.
While I'm chipping in this, I'm thinking, I wonder if I'm going to find little pieces of peanut butter paper or something. So I get it all chipped off, put it in a bag, put it in my duffel bag, and about 10 minutes I'm walking. I'm like, what the heck is that awful smell? Oh my God. And just turned my head, I realized it was I got to go back to the truck. This is horrible. So I threw it in the back of the truck thinking I got to get this home before it thaws out. I didn't get 30 feet and my whole inside of my truck stank. It was like, no, it's going in the back of the truck. So I put it back there and put some weight on it. And even after I got home, because it was 28 degrees, almost 30 that day. And I didn't even want, it's like, I should have used my girlfriend. My girlfriend has MS, so she's got one of those long reachers. It was like I
Mhm.
wanted to use that and grab it and pick it up. I didn't even want to pick up my bag, but I got it in, put it in a Ziploc freezer bag, and stuck it, wrapped it, double bagged it, and put it in a little sweet little box because a friend of mine said he had somebody who would test it, but haven't heard from him. So for the last over a year now,
You've had it
I've had it in my freezer.
in the sweet and low box.
So, and the funny part is I don't know for sure. I don't even know for sure that's what it is, but either that or it's an 8 foot redneck hillbilly that had too much fiber in his diet. But a couple of weeks ago, I wound up, I went to take pictures of a trackway
Uh-huh.
and I stepped in something and I thought it was mud. And son of a gun, these are brand new shoes, because my feet are bad, so I have to wear special shoes, they're $120 a pop.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden that smell hits me. I'm like, oh, I know what this is now. And it went all the way up over the top of my shoe on my sock.
Oh no.
And so I pulled it out and I'm trying to kick it off. And I'm like, well, these shoes ain't going home with me. They literally kicked my shoes off and socks off and put them in one of the people's garbage. So, but I did go out just, uh, what is today? Tuesday, Saturday, and they put a bunch of saran wrap over it, covered it with leaves because we'll go get another sample. At least it's dry enough. Maybe I can put it in paper this time because I didn't know plastic ate DNA. So
Yeah.
that was
And
why I went in.
and I don't even know where or how you would store. I guess I don't know. I don't know how you would store a biological sample in paper unless maybe wax paper, but I don't
Oh,
know
that's
if
an
that
idea.
but I don't know if that would contaminate it either. You know what I mean? Like the wax on from the paper, but I guess if you got a big enough sample,
That's what I'm hoping with this. That's why it's still around because
we need to butcher paper. Freaky Geek says butcher paper, which would, yeah, that might work. Huh. Parchment paper, maybe. Man, Brian.
but yeah, that's it's been quite I didn't think it was going to be the topic that it was. I always thought I was going to leave my mark in the fitness world with a new exercise routine or doing this because I've been working in a gym since 1986.
That's why you're like all about the Hulk.
And as funny as it sounds, I identified with him because I really try to. I have a nasty temper. It's like it takes a lot to light my fuse, but once it's lit, it's a yay long.
Okay.
So it's almost like that dual personality type.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of identified with it. But yeah, I've been collecting knuckles since I was 8 years old. So, I thought I would leave it in the fitness world, but it looks like I'm going to go down in history now as the peanut butter kid or Hookalong Cassidy or something.
But I will say I've never really heard anybody say that they have. I mean, well, I don't know. I think on somebody's documentary once, I think they said that they had samples of, you know,
Well, and that's the thing
that
too. It's like that's what I think it is. I don't know for sure. I didn't see him squat, so I can't tell you.
right. But to
But
see something that gigantic, and
that's
it just looked, it was just like long, like a long, one long
yeah,
straight thing.
yep, yeah. Not like the last one I stepped in. That was a deep pile.
Okay.
This was much longer,
It
and with
appeared
the
to
size
be
of them out there, it's like
it appeared to be human, or had the appearance of human, or it looked like human, but it was just gigantic.
yeah, yep, exactly.
So did it have anything in it? Did it have hair in it? Did it have seeds in it? Did it have, I mean, did you see any identifiable anything in there?
Not that I can remember. I mean, I'm literally saying to myself, I'm chipping away at this thing, thinking, "What are you doing? You
Because it
are
was
an idiot."
cold, right? It was frozen,
Yeah, it
right?
was frozen to the ground. And I'm chipping at it with a stick. And at one point, I think I even used my hands. I thought, people
You're
will
like,
laugh
this
their
is a
hind ends off. It's like,
you're like, I'm not using my hands. I don't
yeah.
care. Even if it is
Especially once
just
it
a
thawed out and
little.
started to smell. I'm like, I was rubbing them in the dirt right away, trying to get everything out from under, fingernails or anything.
Oh my gosh.
It was,
I'm not laughing at you. You know that. It's just, I've heard the story before, or a little, well, I haven't heard all of it, but I mean, I've heard a little bit of it, here and there.
I don't mind people laughing because I look at myself and I go,
It's funny
you need to be laughed at.
though.
This is funny. It's okay to share this. You don't need it.
It's good though. It's good. I mean, well, I obviously you've got like a very active area that you're actively also researching. Like that's pretty rare. It's not all of us get that, you
Yeah,
know?
if it hadn't been for all the activity over that year and a half, I'd have left it where it
Mhm.
was. I'd have just wrote it off. But
Yeah.
with with everything coming together,
Mhm.
I just took it as possible evidence. Okay, maybe this is a good possibility.
So, what are your plans next? Do you have any other ideas or plans for something maybe new you're going to try to put out for them? Or, I mean, because you're not giving them food any longer, right?
No, um,
Yeah.
no, I'm walking a fine line between because the conservancy is considered private property, and
Mm-hmm.
so if they wanted to, they could give me the boot. So I'm really trying, and let's just say hypothetically, about a month after I quit,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I had an extra jar of peanut butter still in my bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually unscrewed the lid. As soon as I thought, I'm going to put it in my backpack and carry it around, see if they smell it, maybe,
Attract them.
attract it, see what happens. As soon as I popped the
Mm-hmm.
tinfoil, I got whoop and a knock. And it's like, holy crap, they're close. And then I thought, well, I can't tease them with it. So, I stuck the jar up with some tree roots and left it. And that was the last naughty thing I did out there. So, other than that, now it's just what can I interact with? How can I think of different ways? Maybe trying stick formations or something because they love to seem to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, other people are suggesting fruit and this and that, but I know they're literally writing down the times and days and coming in.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
wouldn't,
not.
yeah. Honestly, I would just do very simple things. Marbles, put out some different color marbles and see if they'll match them up. Blue to blue, yellow to yellow, green to green. I would put out, maybe what I have put out in some of my areas are buttons. They seem to like buttons, all different.
Oh,
You can go to the dollar store and get buttons, like a whole thing of buttons, assorted like sizes and colors and all of that. Like because they all have like little different feels and textures. So in some of the areas, I've never even said this to anybody before. I mean, I've never even talked about it. In some of my areas, I do that. Like we will put out like buttons, and they seem to like buttons. So maybe put out some buttons, just and not a whole bunch, just
right.
like and maybe a ribbon. Try putting out a blue ribbon, red ribbon, and an orange ribbon, and see if they touch or take any of the ribbons. Like I have this whole theory thing that seems to happen like for us. They like things that are blue and they like to group colors. That's why when you told me they were doing that with the popsicle sticks. They like to group colors and they like blue. I
Okay.
can't tell you how many times we have found blue objects near or next to like structures that we have come across, and we'll find blue objects, anything blue. Like we have found blue balloons, we have found like blue cans, like like a Pepsi can and beer cans that are blue, and they're usually always blue. I have
And now
no
that you
idea
say
why.
that, I had a rock that went after, the my friend who was with me the night we got walked out.
Hmm.
Um, when she passed, I put in memory of, Shauna G, and then I painted like a little blue sea with like a little sun on it,
Hmm.
and put it at one of the spots where we would put peanut butter. And the next time I went out, that was put about a half a mile away next to the spots where she would put peanut butter. Because she would go one way and I would go another, and then we would both walk it and see what we find.
Hmm.
And that rock turned up with her name turned up, at the one spot she picked.
Wow.
Because there was a certain stump, and it started off about a stump maybe 5 or 6 feet high, but it was old and kind of rotten. But there was a
Hmm.
hole in it where you could stick a 4 pound jar of peanut butter up. And by the time she passed, we would try to stick it up farther and farther to make sure they had that stump ripped down almost to the roots. So, and she passed before she could pick a new spot.
Wow.
But yeah,
And
that little blue rock, I never even,
they love blue, or at least down here in Florida, in the areas that that I research in, that I've been in. Yeah, we are always finding blue, lots of blue. I I don't I don't like, because I have a theory. I have no, again, it's just like speculation. That's all it is. I think that they either have they're either colorblind, possibly, right? Which means they have one less cone in their eye than us. Because colorblind people see color different, right? And they can pick out, if you take somebody who's colorblind, they can find somebody wearing all the camo in the world that blends into you and I. But if they see them, it pops out like they're wearing white in the middle of a black forest. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did a whole bunch of research on it. I went down a rabbit hole one day, and but yeah. So then I also ran into another type of, it's called tetrachromatic. And these individuals have, because we have three cones. These individuals have more cones than we do in the eyes, right? They can see color not like we see. Like we only see like, I'm just throwing out a number because I forgot my research, the exact number, but it's like what we see like a million colors. What somebody who has an additional cone in their eye has four cones in their eye, tetrachromatic. These people, these individuals see colors like 5 million colors. There's a woman, if anybody wants to go and Google, go and search tetrachromatic. And there's a lady who is an artist. No one really ever knew what a person actually, how they saw the world. Somebody with tetrachromatic, disorder, and it's not really a disorder, but condition. Nobody really knew what it is they saw or how they viewed the world, because nobody really understood or has ever come forward. She happens to be an artist. So when you go and you search on YouTube for her, or just put in tetrachromatic, I can't remember her name, and you see her paintings and the colors that she sees. So when I started seeing that, I was like, holy cow, maybe they're not colorblind, maybe they're tetrachromatic, and that's why colors are so important to them.
See,
So
and I wondered
I don't
if
know.
something along those lines, because like the mantis shrimp, sees infrared, ultra,
Yep.
and I thought maybe there's a hint of that in them because that's why they stay away from the infrared cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you
And
don't
that
get your trail cams and um,
possibly. It's interesting. It's like I said,
yeah,
all speculation on my part, 100%. I have nothing to back any of that up on. You know what I mean? Like nothing. I got nothing scientific to back it up. It was just, I was, went down this rabbit hole and I was just like, wow, but what if they are seeing like this? And they're seeing, that's how they know when one tiny blade of grass is different or one tiny little anything is different, because they're able to see everything in all these millions of colors, possibly, like hypothetically, I don't know.
yeah, and well, rabbit holes are where you find the best stuff sometimes. I mean,
That's true.
you know, I said it too when a friend and I went out. The guy who told me about this place, we put a trail cam up. It took two pictures. It was only there the hour and a half we were there. Um, Something tripped it. There was no picture, and then the other one you can see a dark shape off in the distance. That area went dead for over 2 weeks after that trail cam.
Um,
So it was like they knew, did something. Okay, if you're going to do
mhm.
that, we're not going to talk to you anymore. So
Right.
that's why I think they see it. You know,
Yeah.
and like you said, even if it's a camo, if they see so many colors, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb anyway.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yes,
I think it's amazing that, it's, do you have me on? What is that? Echo or something? I don't know. I thought I heard an echo. Anyway, um, I think that it's amazing that they are communicating with you. So I think it'll be interesting to see over time some of the objects that they gravitate to. You know what I mean? Like generally, what I do is I take out whatever it is I take out, and I don't take out too much. We try not to take out like a bunch of different things. We try to just take out a few things at a time, but we
mhm.
document. We photograph where we leave it, and you're one ahead on me. I never thought about putting dates on things. I never even thought about that. So that's awesome. Like that gives me a great idea to,
Yeah, I would
to
put the
start
date
doing
and
that.
I put the date and a like a ABC. So whether it was on the hill, I put an H. If it was in the barrel, I put a B. And then that way I know, if I found it on the hill, but it was from the barrel, I know they carried it a long ways. So,
Yeah, I see. I'm,
but as far as my notes go,
mhm.
everybody is probably hating me because I don't take any. I got into this because it was for me. It,
Right.
now it's kind of just for my curiosity. How far can I take it? You know,
Just see.
I never dreamed in a million years I would be on one podcast, let alone a couple. It's just amazing that I'm talking to people like you and Barb and Chris and all these people that are, to me, superstars.
Oh no, I'm not a
Talking to the
superstar.
bat boy on the opposing team. So
No, no, I
I just,
really appreciate it. And just so you know, like I appreciate you for coming on tonight. Thank you so much for doing that. Spur of the moment, literally seconds, and you were like, "Yes, I'll do it. Give me 10 minutes." Like, thank you so much for that. And like I appreciate when people want to come on and they want to like talk about their research or talk about their story or their experiences and encounters. I love that. It's just, in all honesty, it's hard to find people that really want to come on and give their stories or genuine stories. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
do kind of vet some people and I kind of can tell like if somebody is kind of fibbing a little bit, then I don't want that on my show. I want people who are having genuine experiences and people who are having genuine research and that are going out and have had encounters and that are genuine. And I feel like, like people know, I honestly do think that the BS meter goes off
oh yeah,
with some of these people, right? You can usually generally tell. And one of the things that I always look for, and I can always tell when somebody is fibbing around, is because they want to give me so much detail. It's like there's too much detail. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like there's no way that there's all of that happened in 3 seconds. You know what I mean? Like it's just sometimes you just have to put things in perspective. But I do. I really get
eye
very
color,
like,
how they had their hair, where it parted, and
exactly. You're not going to get all of that in just a few seconds. I know because that's happened to me. I had an encounter, a daytime sighting that was literally only like 3-4 seconds long. I'll never forget it. It's embedded in my mind. It'll never go away. I still, if I shut my eyes, I can see it perfectly. Like, but it was still, that's all I got. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was like this. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And
never going to,
I still have dreams of that first encounter. When I was 16, just those big yellow eyes,
right? And
like
so you said
3 years
yellow.
old.
It's interesting that you said yellow. So they were. Let me just ask you a few questions because I just, how this is how my mind works. You've seen enough of my shows to know that, right? By now, you're like, yeah, I'm already asked a bunch of questions.
And that's why I like it, because I want people to call me out and challenge me. It's like,
uh, well, I don't want to challenge you. I don't ever want to challenge anybody, but
yeah,
I love to ask questions because I always think my mind, it just kind of gets my brain going. So you said that it had these yellow eyes, right?
yep,
Were they, but was it eye shine because of the headlights?
eye shine.
Or were they, it was eye shine. It wasn't
Yep.
illuminated from the inside out, right? They weren't
I, I,
glowing.
I'm guessing eye shine, but I mean, I don't know what eyes look like when they're self-illuminating, but to me, it was eye shine because I couldn't see above here. It was dark.
I
So
love you, Shane. I'm sorry, Brian. He says, damn you for wanting truth. I know. I can't help it. I'm a truth seeker.
that is a pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? A pretty huge thing in today's world is asking for the truth.
Right?
But, and because I don't want to be one of those guys that, like I said, I don't even have any notes. I can date the peanut butter and stuff, and I can go through my phone and give you the timeline of when I saw this or that happened. And
Right.
I also want to be careful because, like if you fib just a little bit, everything you've done is gone.
Yeah.
Nobody will look at it the same again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a couple people in the Bigfoot world that I think they want to prove them so bad that they want to have them recognize that they genuinely had experiences, but then they push the envelope by faking a couple pictures or maybe a costume or something, as a fleeting
Yeah.
glimpse to drive it home. And that's sad because now everybody hammers on it.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think that some people get a, I think they get addicted to the attention. So I think, you know, very few of us out here in this community can say that we're having consistent interactions or consistent activity, okay? Or a relationship, or I hate to use that word because, but yet it is in a way, they are relationships, of course, on their terms, not our terms.
right.
But, I think that it's a rare thing. It's super rare for that to happen. Not everybody gets that. So I feel like, like for myself, I mean, I've only had two sightings. One was a nighttime sighting in 1986, and then I had a daytime sighting. But again, it's not like I'm having these constant sightings. I'm not having, you know what I mean? And I think that people, they just get into this thing where they're like attention, and they need attention. So then they're going to say this, and then when they've kind of done the circuit of all of these different podcasts saying this, then it's like, okay, well, now I got to come up with something else because I've already told that story 20 times. And then it's almost like it just evolves, and it starts like snowballing, and it just seems like then it gets to a point where you're like, how much of what this person's actually saying is true at this point? Is it
Yeah.
this much? And then the rest is all made up, and just, I,
Well, and that's why when
yeah,
I did, what was the first one with Josh Parsons? I forget the name of it now. I feel so bad. But, I did that because he wanted my story. I gave it to him. And I also wanted to prove that, they're not cute and cuddly, but at the
right.
same time, they're not vicious animals that are going to get you every time they're not going to take your baby when you go for a walk in the woods.
Yeah.
And once that story got told a couple times, especially the part about the recent events with the DNR, that
Mm,
all of a sudden people are just kind of picking on that. Like, look, this is what they're going to do. This is how they are. They're gonna harass you till they get what you want. And that's why I kind of like, no, I think I want to get back out there if I can a little bit, just to clarify that's not.
right. Well, listen,
It's just
if
treat them
there's,
with respect. It's like a bear. Treat it with respect.
you have to treat them well. They deserve our respect. I mean, they're intelligent. It's not like they're not self-aware. They're very self-aware. They know, do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
here's a perfect, if anybody walks away from this show tonight, I hope they walk away with this. I hope they walk away with you explaining how you were in a very low emotional state in your life. You went to the woods to mourn,
Yep.
and they were mourning with you, and they were sharing in your grief with you. I think that says a lot about them and you. And I think that sounds to me like they've got a thing, not a thing, but I mean that they're connected to you. You know what I mean? I think that they feel connected to you. And that's why you're able to have these interactions and have this communication that you're having with them through objects, you know?
I just got goosebumps all over from you saying that because and I'm still finding boundaries. Obviously, I got a little too close to something that was my fault. But the morning was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Just the fact. Now I'm gonna start. You're gonna get me crying because of a lost friend.
You are a softie. See, that's what I said. You are. You're an empath. You're an empath. That's, but that's a good thing. I feel like I really feel like that's something that they gravitate to. I do believe that. I do believe that they seek out or recognize. Maybe they see tons of people, but I think that sometimes they recognize those of us who may have abilities or may have some empathic, gifts, that they recognize that there's some, that we can empathize with them, because not everybody is out there to be positive with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
There are
People
still
want,
a lot of people that are
yeah,
possibly
want,
looking to harm them, right?
yeah,
So,
people want the proverbial body to prove it.
mhm, yeah. Well, I'm really thankful that you came on tonight, spur of the moment. Thank you so, so much. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before you go tonight, or anything that you want to?
Like I said, the big thing is you don't have to put your kids in a carry-on bag to walk in the woods. Just
Right.
everything's respectful. It's no different. And
Hmm.
like you said, love and kindness. It goes a long ways. Love, kindness, and respect out in the woods.
Yes.
So that would
Yes.
be about the only thing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on. I love doing shows where it's an interactive. I didn't see the chat question, so sorry if I didn't answer any.
Oh no, I've been
Um,
checking for I have been checking for questions, and when questions came up, I did put them up, and everybody is thanking you for sharing. Thank you, Hofcast, so much. Jim said, truth is treason in an empire of lies," and that is such a true statement. And thank you for sharing, Brian. And Hofcast says the Nonabas great show tonight. And Gary is all, thanks everybody for joining the show. Thank you guys all for being here. Brian, thank you. Can I put you
Thank you very
backstage?
much.
Of course. Anytime you want to come back. Just
Well,
say you got some groundbreaking stuff. Come on back, and I'll have you anytime. Can
thank
I?
you very much. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Of course. Can I put you backstage for just a few minutes, and let me
Yeah,
just a couple minutes while I say goodnight to everybody?
sure.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, guys, that was amazing. I love talking to people who are just genuine and loving and caring, and I don't know, like-minded, right? We love those like-minded people. And this was a blast. I had such a great um, Jim. Then, oh, yes. My email address is thenonaboss@gmail.com. So yeah. And before everybody goes, really quick, I know I'm running late, but Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Conference and Expedition. Get your tickets September 16th. I think the expeditions are booked. So it's just the conference, I think, at this point, that they're, still selling tickets for. And it's going to be September 16th, Saturday, September 16th. If you're anywhere near Ozark, Missouri, whichever way you say it, please go get your tickets. I will be there. Blondes and Booze will be there. And Krista and DA Roberts is going to be there. I think Naomi Finn said she was going to try and get a table and come, but please come and join us. Have a good time. Let's pack this place. Let's do it. Let's show some love. All right, guys. With having said all of that, thank you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. I have Greg Ogles coming on. His documentary. We're going to be talking about his documentary called "The Legend of the Downy Booger." So we're going to talk about that tomorrow night with Greg Ogles of Relic Films. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. And what do we always say here on the Continuum? What do we say? Always spread love and kindness wherever you go.